Hi, everyone. Michael Healy, Superintendent of Argyle Central School. And I wanted to take a few minutes to share our COVID response opening plan for the coming 21-22 school year. Um, as we prepared our plan this summer, we really approached it from the perspective of what's best for everyone in our district. And we came to the conclusion that, our students need to be in school and learning in an environment that's as safe as we are able to make it for everyone. And we saw the value of that last year. We were open, as you know, for the year for everyone, for the most part. And looking at the differences between schools that weren't able to be open and schools like Argyle who were, we saw a tremendous benefit to students and their families. So going into this school year, our primary goals are to return all of our students pre-K through grade 12 to in-person instruction, to provide a safe learning environment for all of our students, faculty, and staff, and to offer a full range of extracurricular music and athletic activities for our students over the course of this year. And our plan it's fluid, so it means it will change over the course of this year. And to be honest, it could change between now and the start of school in just a few weeks. So, we're looking at a number of factors, and we're considering the recommendations from the Center for Disease Control, the New York State Education Department, the New York State Department of Health, Washington County Department of Health, Needham Risk Management, which is our safety and risk management firm, and Dr. Robert Nielsen, who's our school physician. And we're also watching the Washington County COVID-19 community transmission rate closely. And this document will be posted on our website, and we'll send it out to families so you have access to it. But you can click on the links in the document and see a number of things. But just so we're on the same page, the community rate of transmission, according to the CDC, they're using 4 categories: low, moderate, substantial, and high. And you can go on the CDC website and see what Washington County is. And as of last week, Wednesday or Thursday of last week, we were a substantial transmission county, which means we had somewhere between 50 and 99 cases of COVID per 100,000 people. So that puts us in the orange category here. Most counties around Washington County are in the red. It's just something to track and keep in mind. We do plan on, as I said earlier, it's a fluid plan. We plan on looking at our plan and consulting with our health experts when the county transmission rate change. Anyway, if it goes higher or lower, we'll review our plan for appropriate adjustments. So I want to share some COVID mitigation strategies that we're implementing this year. We'll start with vaccination. Obviously, the CDC is recommending that all faculty, staff, and eligible students be vaccinated as soon as possible. The district's working with Washington County Department of Health, and we want to maximize opportunities for eligible students and staff to be vaccinated. So we'll be holding, voluntary vaccination clinics here on school grounds. So we'll make sure that you are aware of any upcoming clinics at our school or in the area. And again, anyone currently 12 years old or older, they are eligible to be vaccinated. So masking, this year, based on the recommendations from the organizations I mentioned earlier, we are going to start the school year with masks for everyone in the building, including those who are vaccinated. We'll have masks being able to be removed during lunches and mass breaks. So it's going to be similar to how we ended the year last year. Masks are not going to be needed to be worn outdoors, and on our district transportation, masks will need to be worn at all time, again, regardless of vaccination status. And I mentioned it earlier, but I want to mention it again. We'll revisit our masking requirements whenever there's a change in the Washington County community transmission rate. But for now, we're going to stay in full masks for everyone to start the school year. And this is consistent through Washington County. The Washington County schools will all be doing this. Physical distancing, there's a little bit of a change here. The CDC recommends that we maintain at least 3 feet of physical distancing between students where possible. So we'll definitely do that at a minimum. And last year we were able to maintain 6 in most occasions, 6 feet. So we'll continue to maintain as much physical distancing as possible, but always at least 3 feet in the areas when that's possible to do. That's important for quarantining purposes. Later on, I'll talk a little bit about that. So we will maintain seating charts in our classroom, and that's going to help us assist with contact tracing. And again, we used masked in motion last year when we were able to. And that, again, we're going to be full masked to start the school year, but and that applies to transition through hallways and things like that too. A little bit of change for our daily health screenings. We'll still have our students go through our temperature checks when they walk in the building. But this year we're going to just send out regular communications to families reminding you to monitor and check your children's health, and if they're symptomatic or sick, to seek testing or appropriate treatment when necessary. So we're not going to have people fill out the daily paperwork or the digital form attesting to health this year. Our staff will do that, but again, we'll send out communication to remind parents and caregivers to just to monitor that, and if students aren't feeling well, to keep them home. And again, we're going to minimize our visitors to the school only to when it's required. And just like last year, they'll be required to sign in, complete a health attestation form, and have a temperature screening. We'll keep windows open when possible and when the temperature will allow. We'll use fans when possible to increase our airflow. And our ventilation system, our air filters have been sized and are maximized for our system's ventilation capability, and we'll continue to do that and replace them accordingly. Cleaning and disinfection, we'll be doing the same this year. We'll sanitize the building on a daily basis. Our high touch surface areas like door handles and classroom door handles, door handles and things that a lot of students touch regularly. We'll be disinfecting and sanitizing those on a regular basis, more often than just a daily sanitizing schedule. And whenever, should we have a symptomatic or positive case, like we did last year, we'll sanitize and disinfect the area before we have people resume normal operations there. We'll continue to encourage hand washing. We'll have hand sanitizer throughout the building. And Washington County is developing a potential screening plan, and to help schools and families test for potential cases of COVID. They don't anticipate that to be completed until mid to late September, and that will be a voluntary participation. And like I said, we're not there yet, but I'll definitely provide more information when that does become available. So county quarantining, that's going to be a little different this year. And I think we all know this, but I just want to make sure we're all aware. The school does not quarantine individuals, that's the quarantines are issued by Washington County Public Health. But we will, in the cases of positive COVID cases and there's quarantines, we will be notifying individual families that there has been an exposure, and then what the county health department will follow up with those families. But it's a little bit different this year. So in the case of exposure this year, fully vaccinated individuals, if they're asymptomatic and not showing any signs or symptoms of COVID-19, they will not be required to quarantine. Unvaccinated individuals, if they're separated by 3 feet or more and they're properly masked, this is according to Washington County Public Health, there shouldn't be a quarantine required. So last year it was a minimum of 6 feet. This year it's 3 feet. But they say, the proper mitigating factors, and one of those has to be the ability to demonstrate that the individual was properly masked the entire time. And if there's an exposure and the student or individual is not masked, specifically, like I'm thinking about during mealtime or things like that, the county will require a quarantine. So, that should cut down on the number of quarantines we have this year. But I just want to make sure that families understand that there's still the possibility that could occur. And it's a little different this year, but we're fully intending to keep our spacing in our classrooms to be a minimum of 3 feet. And then in the cafeteria, we're going to try to mimic what we did last year, and that was more than 3 feet as well. However, they will be unmasked, so we'll have to see how that works with the county, but we'll definitely shoot for as much space as possible during our cafeteria lunch periods. Some important information about in-school attendance this year. We are expecting all of our students pre-K through 12 to attend school in person every day when possible. We are not planning on offering remote instruction this year. The exception will be limited circumstances where perhaps a whole class or there's a large scale quarantine, or potential of a transportation shortage, like our drivers. We have quarantine issues where they're unable to drive. That could force us into a situation where we need to offer remote to a large number of our students. But as a general practice going into the school year, we're going to focus our efforts on in-person instruction and not do the hybrid remote where we're trying to do remote instruction and in-person at the same time. It worked for us last year, but we know it's not what's best for instruction, and it's not what's best for our students. So we want to maximize the opportunity for them to have effective instructional opportunities. We're planning a classroom setup and student schedules as similar as possible to pre-pandemic years. Our class and section sizes, the population, the student enrollment has been reduced in those to ensure that we do have physical distancing that's appropriate, and that's at least 3 feet. For junior and senior high school, Mrs. Pissarro will be sending out information about lockers and what we're going to do with those. And I mentioned quarantining earlier, and that will still occur per the county. And should that occur, we'll provide options for quarantine students to continue their education while they're in quarantine. Should there be a symptomatic student or faculty or staff member, they will be sent home, and it could require a negative COVID test before returning to school. And, that's going to be a similar process to last year. We talked about the cafeteria. We're going to use the cafeteria again as we did last year. If we do need space for overflow, we have our gymnasium and the fishbowl area outside the cafeteria in our lobby area for that purpose. Those two areas worked well for us last year, and if we need it, we can do that again. And again, at a minimum, we'll have 3 feet of spacing while our students are eating. I anticipate we'll be able to do more than that, but at a minimum, 3 feet. Transportation, buses will be able to return to full capacity this year. And, the expectation is that we have physical distancing maximized to the extent possible. So when we are able to space 3 feet or more on our buses, we will. Masks are required on buses, and this is a federal mandate for all students and staff, and that's regardless of vaccination status. We'll keep our windows and vents open, and that's weather and temperature permitting, and to the extent possible. All of our seats will be assigned this year. We need to keep seating charts, and we'll make an effort to assign our siblings to sit together when possible. And we'll clean and disinfect our buses on a daily basis. Because of our seating arrangements and what we need to do to make sure we have everybody on our buses, we're not going to be able to accommodate bus changes similar to last year. So I apologize in advance for that. And we appreciate what everyone did last year for transportation. And I know a lot of families went out of their way to transport their kids to and from school, and that helped us immensely. So we're obviously appreciative of that, and we're encouraging anyone who's able to do so again this year. And if that's the case, just to let us know that your children will not need a bus seat assigned to them. But the good news is we'll be able to fit more students on our bus, which will help. Athletics, we are planning to offer a full range of athletics this year. Outdoor sports right now do not require masking, and inside sports will require masking. Spectators for indoor sports could be limited, and that they will be required to mask and observe 3 feet of distancing. The Adirondack League is still sending out or developing their protocols, but at this point, it looks like our indoor fall sports, which is volleyball for us, we'll be able to have spectators at 50% capacity of what our gym would hold. So we think we'll be able to accommodate a pretty normal attendance for our volleyball contests. We do plan on holding extracurricular clubs this year, which is great for our students to have some opportunities outside of the classroom. We'll have field trips on a case-by-case basis, and we'll bring back our 9th period, which is our extra period at the end of the day, with late buses offered Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. So I think you can see here, we're trying to get back to something that's as normal as possible. The rate of transmission of Delta variant is increasing in the area, and that's causing us to really be hesitant and pay close attention to all the recommendations from the organizations I mentioned earlier. My hope is we see that the rates decrease soon, and as I mentioned earlier, we can revisit our plan to adjust for what's appropriate. So I appreciate everyone's patience, and I know this isn't we're not all going to love this plan and everything in the plan, but I think it's important for us to continue to work together to make sure our kids are here in person. And that's to me, and I've heard from so many of you, our primary goal. So please feel free to reach out with questions or concerns. We have our info@Argyle CSD email up and running. So info@ Argyle CSD. You can send an email to that anytime, and we'll make sure we get an answer to you. You can also give us a call at the school. I'm happy to work through situations that are concerning to you or specific to your individual family. So again, that's our plan as of August 17th. And if things change, I'll make sure that you are updated right away. As I said, I'll send this information out. We'll post on our website. But again, thank you for your time and your attention and all the suggestions that you've sent over the last year and your willingness to continue to work with the school to make this work for our kids. All right, thank you. Have a good day.